I'm back to review more of The Rising of the Shield Hero, as promised. The first 2 episodes already made me question my own sanity, and that of the characters in this series, but maybe things can improve? I mean, there's nowhere else to go but up. Episode 3 takes place a week after the events of Episode 2, and apparently our protagonists have done a bit of upgrading in the meantime. Wait, why is Raphtalia grown up now? It has been only a week, right? Well, according to the fan wiki, demi-humans can age faster when they level up, so Raphtalia must be at least in her mid-teens after hitting her current level, which is 18. She also seems to have developed some sarcasm off-screen.
You need a weapon as well.
Master Naofumi, stop messing around with your life, or you will die.
I can sorta see why people would gravitate toward her character, but I just find it really awkward that the show would age bump her this fast just to set her up as a love interest. At least Naofumi is either oblivious or uninterested. That's because we are starting to see shades of the brother-sister rapport instead of a master-slave relationship. Well, almost. Anyway, they head to this church to find the aforementioned dragon hourglass, a trinket that will tell them when the next wave hits. The other heroes also show up, and we see Motoyasu hitting on Raphtalia. He even brings up the rumors about the shield hero to try and get her to leave her master. And Naofumi is obviously reluctant to address these charges, given how nobody important seems to believe anything he says. Anyway, time trickles down and the wave begins. What will happen? Well, crap. Okay, no. The heroes are transported to the enemy's spawn location, where a crap ton of monsters start pouring in on them. While the other heroes get on with fighting the wave head-on, Naofumi and Raphtalia head over to loot to evacuate the civilians. It's an ideal setup for Naofumi, since he can use his defensive abilities to buy Raphtalia time to get everyone out. But he does wonder why he's even doing this, given the villagers might turn on him for his bad publicity. Thankfully, the villagers want to help fight back, but Naofumi insists that he and Raphtalia can protect them. After they all leave and our heroes prepare to fight, suddenly a powerful fire spell rains down on all the monsters. The Royal Knights have arrived to help, but they couldn't even be bothered to be careful with how they are aiming that attack. They act all smug to Naofumi, and most of them don't really change their minds even after he saves their asses. Some go on to help the Cardinal heroes, the others help protect the village. But at the very least, the final boss monster was taken care of by Motoyasu, so that ends the second wave.
By the way, anyone seen Naofumi?
I'm glad he wasn't here. He would have held us back and we wouldn't have had as much fun.
For sure.
If someone told them how he was saving a nearby town, would they have cared? Probably not, but at least Naofumi gets a bit of good publicity from the village for his bravery that day. The next episode starts with a dinner party to celebrate the end of the second wave. I'm not sure why the shield hero is here, but it's probably because he wants to collect his share of the rewards. I mean, how else are we gonna hear the royal captain guard lie about how useless he was? Anyway, it's here where Motoyasu challenges Naofumi to a duel. I mean, it was only a matter of time given how the latter is treated like dirt. But let's hear why Motoyasu wants to go forward with this.
I've heard that you've made poor Raphtalia your slave, and that she obeys your every command. You can't be saying you think it's okay to enslave others.
Slavery's legal in this crazy place, and she's been a great help to me.
But we're heroes in this world. We shouldn't behave that way here, and you know it.
You have a right to your opinion, and I disagree.
Okay, this is gonna lead into a point that I want to drive home, but let's see this play out first. Motoyasu lays out the conditions for this fight. If he wins, Naofumi must set Raphtalia free. The shield hero obviously doesn't take the bait, but here comes King Jameson Price to tell him otherwise.
You, a hero, have been using a demi-human as your slave to fight for you. You violated our customs, and that is reprehensible.
What customs? Your ancestors made the ownership of demi-humans law, or maybe you did. And you kept those decrees in the books. So why this sudden change of heart? Oh, who am I kidding? He just wants a shot at the shield hero. So of course he's gonna manufacture some BS to do just that. So by order of the king, Naofumi has to duel Motoyasu. One of the rooms he's in before the fight has swords that he cannot use because stupid magic game rule bullcrap. Well, we're finally gonna get to see two legendary weapons clash with one another, and nothing special happens. It's just weapons clanging with each other while some special abilities fly about every once in a while. Look, I still can't accept that these weapons prevent their users from fully cooperating with each other. Can they at least look a little more impressive when they fight one another? Also, how the hell is Motoyasu level 43 already? What the hell was he doing differently from Naofumi and Raphtalia? And yet, despite a 20 level difference, the higher level DPS cannot put a dent on the tank. And while Naofumi isn't exactly winning this matchup either, he is getting some good licks in with some of his offensive spells. Guess shields aren't for losers after all, huh?
Does that lowly shield hero think he can win against the spear hero?
Have you no respect for the sanctity of a duel?
Instead of having their eyes opened by seeing a shield wielded so expertly, these morons still deny its usefulness. If I were a warrior, I'd shield bash the lot of them. Anyway, before Naofumi can throw some more monster balloons at Motoyasu's face, he gets hit by a gust of wind cast by Mine, who we later learn is called Malty, and is the king's daughter. This is cheating, but nobody points that out. In fact, once the duel is over, no one seems to acknowledge or even care of what Malty did.
Too bad, shield hero. You must be so upset about your loss. It really is such a shame that you'll have to go back to fighting all by yourself.
And yet we still don't know what motivated her or the king to be total a-holes. This just feels like an incredibly cheap way to line up a bunch of villains who will get their well-deserved comeuppance later. But with how everything is written so far, I can't really see myself enjoying their fall whenever it comes. Anyway, Naofumi starts to get angry with his shield limitations, and a vision of Raphtalia leaving him puts him over the edge.
I'll never be rid of it. A messed up world like this one.
But before we can see what that is, Raphtalia tells Motoyasu off for freeing her without her consent.
He was ready and willing to help a sick, diseased slave who was on the verge of death. Master Naofumi fed me every day, healthy, nourishing food, anything I wanted. Not only that, he gave me valuable medicines and treatments, and they cured my illness. Are you capable of such kindness?
Of course I am.
If that were true, you'd have someone loyal by your side too, instead of that two-faced princess.
Okay, where do I begin? Well, let's start by saying how I could see where she's coming from. She is stuck between the institution of slavery and a society that detests her kind. So she has no good choices here in choosing between the lesser of two evils. But even if I understand her viewpoint, I still disagree with her assessment of her master's character. Because if he was half as good a man as she said he was, he would not be keeping her as a slave. Period. And if you're on the fence towards holding the shield hero to a higher standard of conduct than what's expected of him here, then let me clear that up for you. Yes, you should. Naofumi isn't some rando born into this particular society. He is a college student from modern-day Japan, a place whose general sense of ethics has significant overlap with ours. Treating another sentient being with decency and respect and not holding it in bondage isn't gush-worthy. It is the bare minimum. And Naofumi knows that. Instead, his behavior is excused away by pointing to his good intentions, as if they're enough to justify what he's doing. They're not. I should also point out that despite the shield hero's relative isolation from the rest of society, we have seen him work with people without coercion to get his way. Like the equipment guy, the villagers from last episode, even the guy who sold him Raphtalia. He's not friends with any of them, but both sides of those relationships are getting along, and are benefiting from the interactions. What's so special about Raphtalia that warrants Naofumi keeping around the curse mark? Why couldn't he remove it himself earlier and let her decide between staying and leaving him, when she is so obviously going to stay with him come hell or high water? And this exchange also highlights how little we know about the other Cardinal heroes. Raphtalia says that she knows Motoyasu's group composition and how there's no one like her on his team. But that comes as a surprise to us viewers given the little screen time those other teams get. And besides their involvement against the second wave, we have no idea what they've been up to all this time. So instead of learning a little more about these other heroes, we are still left with the impression that these other guys are a bunch of unlikable assholes. And we finally make it to the last problem I have with this scene. By making Motoyasu the person who's trying to free Raphtalia, I couldn't help but feel like the show is trying to make a derogatory point about people who speak out against injustices. As if the activity is just a scam to score some brownie points, instead of something that can meaningfully help people in need. There is an interesting topic to be had about the vices and virtues for this sort of holier-than-thou grandstanding, but instead of capturing the nuanced and conflicting motivations of someone speaking out against an act of slavery, Motoyasu's approach was so ham-fisted and obvious that it's easy to see his angle in all this. He wants Raphtalia for himself and doesn't care about her well-being despite saying so. People will hide behind their high horses and make themselves better than they really are. I get that, but we can act on those kind and selfish impulses to affect change as well. More often than not, we can be both at the same time. Now with this long rant done, let's return to our regularly scheduled programming. The only positive thing from all this hoopla is Ren and Itsuki backing up Naofumi's claims of Malty's interference during the duel. They may hate his guts, but they still have standards, and they know that Naofumi is being played here. Raphtalia then reunites with Naofumi to tell him that she'll stay by his side, despite still being upset at the moment. She also reminds him that him being a shield hero is what got her so far in the first place.
Hey, I'm not that nice a guy. You see, you were nothing but a tool to use for my own advantage.
I know, but it doesn't matter because you still rescued me.
Stop it! It was all about how I could save myself.
Master Naofumi, I bet I know you better than anyone else in this whole wide world. So even if the whole world speaks ill of you, I'll tell them they're wrong. You're the one who saved my life, gave me a sword, and showed me that I had a purpose in life.
And once again, this moment is fine. It is possible for bad people to change if they're willing to commit to it. It's just really hard to buy into the dialogue sometimes, given that Naofumi has an easy way to prove that he's as wonderful as Raphtalia makes him out to be, but never takes it. With this, the rage subsides and the curse series disappears. For now. Motoyasu is still sore about all this, but
Raphtalia's only doing this because she's been brainwashed.
I'm not so sure about that. Just look at them. It's not like a master and a slave relationship, it's different.
you say that now, but, well, anyway. The episode ends with the two protagonists eating breakfast, and Raphtalia explaining why she is growing up so fast from leveling. At least Naofumi can taste things again. Episode 5 begins with the introduction of Queen Marilia, the other ruler of this kingdom. She seems quite displeased with how her family has been doing things while in her absence. So are we finally gonna get a reasonable authority figure around here? We'll see. For now, the Cardinal heroes get their monthly allowance, although Naofumi gets nothing because he's supposedly paying for Raphtalia's release. Yeah, it's a grudge disguised as a degree. Itsuki and Ren call bullcrap by pointing out the shield heroes' efforts during the second wave. So I guess they were paying attention after all. But just as I'm starting to like what I see, Raphtalia lets herself be branded again, because she has to act like a waifu or something.
There was no need to get another one, you know.
But I wanted it. I think of it as a symbol of your faith in me, Master Naofumi.
Okay, at least he was explicitly against it, but he should have stopped her once he figured out what she was up to. What the hell is with this show using contrived reasons to keep Raphtalia as a slave? And she didn't need to go that far. All she had to do after losing that curse is stay by his side and not betray him. Things that she can easily do without the slave mark bearing down on her. And please don't tell me he has to free her out of trust, because no. Them trusting one another is plenty enough. Anyway, the slave trader guy, named Belocus by the way, shows our heroes these little monster eggs that grow up to become Philoleals. Think dragon-hating chocobos. Naofumi takes one of these eggs, and it looks like it has a crust mark too. So now he'll have 2 slaves by his side. Because why stay with this level of ickiness if we can easily double it? Anyway, after Naofumi and Raphtalia receive some grimoires from people whose relatives were in loot that they saved, the egg finally hatches into a baby Philoleal. It imprints on our shield hero immediately, and he decides to call it Filo. Real original there. Filo then grows at a faster rate than Raphtalia, and it eventually becomes big enough to ride on. We then see that Motoyasu has come to loot because the royal court was impressed with his bravery to make him the lord of the region. There's now a toll which requires 100 silver to enter and leave that town, meaning Motoyasu skipped all his college economics classes. Naofumi is so insulted by the spear hero's incompetence that he has to call out on his bullcrap. Malty tries to step in, but the queen's personal servants give her something that lets Naofumi challenge Motoyasu for right over the land. This is to be decided on through a dragon race. But that's not a problem for Filo, who wouldn't pass up a chance to one-up a dragon.
You're gonna ride that bird thing? Not a dragon? How can you possibly keep up with my dragon with that thing?
I'll give you that one. Anyway, the race begins and Filo takes an early lead. The knights try to cheat by using magic, but for once their shenanigans fail to make a difference. Naofumi wins the race, Malty tries to overturn the results, and the queen's envoys overrule her. Good. But instead of taking any rewards from the village, Naofumi decides to take one of their unused wagons instead. At least it's a proper transport that can serve as a home and storage facility. But that's not the most important part. Yep, Filo has a human form. Though to be clear, she's not a demi-human, because she's only coming by this form with magic. She is in fact a rarer queen Philoleal, so her human form is a way to help hide that. Naofumi also uses a special mark to tame her, despite Filo being perfectly happy to work with him by her own free will. And despite him discouraging Raphtalia from getting that mark again, did he learn anything from the past episode? Now our protagonists need to find Filo some magical clothes that won't get destroyed every time she transforms. Because it's one thing to pour on the fan service, it's another when the FBI asks you to open the door. It looks like the team needs a magic gem to make magic thread to make this new outfit, but it's here where we learn of Filo's magical affinity.
Filo has wind affinity. I blow away all the enemies.
So this leaves Filo and Raphtalia as the only 2 characters I can like. I mean, I'd like to see them at least challenge Naofumi over their slave status given the trust they share, but I'm taking whatever good I can find here. For now, they can do some good by helping a guy get medicine for his mother. This is further enhanced by his ever-growing skills. He then also helps around in other towns as well. And it shows that while he's doing this for the money, he is demonstrating his capacity for kindness towards other people. And it's moments like this that can fit into a redemption arc. For the moment anyway. It does seem like the creators know what constitutes goodwill and honesty, because everything else they've done either conflicts with Naofumi's usual behavior, or is done out of poor taste. Or both. The trio are then attacked by a group of bandits, including one that got a class upgrade, but Filo and Raphtalia easily overcome them. Those same thieves then try to call for backup from the royal guards of all people, but Naofumi intimidates them into doing something for him instead.
See, she's an omnivore. She'll gulp down anything in one bite.
Hey, but you're a savior of the heavenly fowl! You can't commit murder!
I'm nobody's savior, and I have to act with my best interest in mind. You guys must have killed plenty of people so far. Just consider this your turn.
Anyhow, the shield hero establishes a rapport with a trader, who then brings other merchants into his network, and it's here where we get an update on the other cardinal heroes. While Ren is off slaying monsters, Motoyasu saved a village from famine, while Itsuki was just doing a bunch of things that don't add up. Afterwards, Naofumi and his slaves then take down a high-leveled Nu who has the required magic gem. Now Filo can wear a dress that won't blow up when she changes.
You look terrific.
Yay! Thank you, Master!
I mean, sure, she looks cute and everything.
The only way you would feel jealous is if you were still a little kid like Filo. And even then, this just feels wrong. Anyway, episode 7 starts with our heroes transporting herbicide to a random village. This is the same place that Motoyasu helped earlier, but as it turns out, the seeds he introduced there turned into monstrous plants that are out to eat everyone. Why am I even surprised by his stupidity? After a little bit of rescue work and healing, our protagonists fight the biggest monster plant around. Its regenerative powers make it a hard enemy to fight, but now Fumi figures out a way to one-shot the bastard. Thank goodness for this world's broken skills.
That one was mine. I was just about to take it.
So what? I got it before you.
It's mine!
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Now hand it over.
At any rate, Naofumi then gives the villagers a modified seed that could help with their food supply, without summoning angry plant monsters as a side effect. It's been hard to keep track of Naofumi's many shield upgrades, but that could wait, since our heroes are heading to a village with a hot spring. You know what that means.
Philo was being way too clingy with Master Naofumi. I want to be clingy with him also. The couple that enters this hot spring together will be united eternally. That means that if I can get Master Naofumi to bathe together with me in this hot spring...
It's not that long ago that we saw her as a little raccoon girl, so having this happen just feels creepy on the part of the creative team. And with romance on her mind, Raphtalia goes off to the mountains to find a love gem for her shield hero. But uh-oh, Filo follows her to find out what's going on.
The old man at the inn told me that the eggs of a bird called a gogoko are a rare delicacy. If I take a rare delicacy to Master, I know he'll like me more and more. I'm sure he'll pet me and brush my hair and become my mate forever.
Become your mate?
Don't do this to me, man. I don't want to feel icky about liking these two characters. But thankfully, before a cat fight can break out, a wild boar appears and destroys the stuff they're looking for, which causes Raphtalia and Filo to work together and kill that monster. They both grab the tusks and are later given a special metal crafting tool. They give it to Naofumi as a gift. Love crisis averted. Okay, one last episode before we call it quits for now. The shield hero and company make their way to another village that is apparently under some plague or something. Turns out the cause of this mess is Ren's team, who didn't properly dispose of a dragon corpse after a tense battle. Because even the more competent looking heroes are bumbling fools. Do we really need the main character to do everything around here? The corpse won't be easy to remove given the toxins and monsters surrounding it, but that's not what Raphtalia is worried about. Now, Fumi has been more of a jerk-ass than he usually is, and he's not even hiding it among the villagers that he's trying to help. Guess even with the queen ruling more in his favor, he still can't forgive what the royal family did to him. The team eventually finds the dragon corpse, but before they can tamper with it, the body comes back to life. As a zombie dragon. Must be a blue dragon then. The Lich King always likes to use those. To make matters worse, this thing's level is so damn high that it's unknown, which is bad since now Fumi's team is around level 40. But Filo charges in anyway because of her kind's ancestral hatred towards dragons. So this happens.
Hey, Filo!
Well then, I wonder how much it costs to do a resurrection spell in this world. Seeing one possible waifu bites the dust causes Naofumi to reactivate his cursed series of shields, granting him unlimited power! So this is the Rage Shield, which turns his incredible hatred into fiery flames of revenge, at the cost of his healing spells, which are now useless. Raphtalia snaps him out of the rampage before he can turn on his allies, but she is KO'd in the middle of the fight. And despite this power-up, the shield hero is still not strong enough to take down the zombie dragon. So, Deus Ex Machina time!
A little while, but I'm out.
But it ate you, and there was blood everywhere.
Blood? Oh, that was just the fruit I threw up when the dragon gobbled me up.
Okay, but next time warn them before you pull a Drax. So Naofumi removes the dragon husk before getting Raphtalia some medical attention in a nearby church. Filo then gives her master the crystal she ate while inside the dragon, which was responsible for resurrecting the corpse. It can be a valuable item down the line, but Naofumi is currently too low-leveled to make any use of it. He's also feeling down about losing his cool with the Rage Shield and getting Raphtalia hurt. But she's going to be alright, and he vows to learn from this experience so that it will never happen again.
I have to grow stronger. Along with the people who believe in me, and I'll protect them. No matter what happens.
So yeah, this was a somewhat better showing than the first 2 episodes, but that's not saying much. I guess despite everything that's happened, I'm still not a big fan of the shield hero himself. It seems like the writers want to portray him as some jerk with a heart of gold, but their use of the character archetype raises more questions than answers, especially in regards to his unthinking use of slaves. Maybe that's what is bugging me most of all. That part of his character isn't explored all that deeply. I think he'd be best served to have a quiet scene with Raphtalia, asking him the most banal questions like, "Why am I your slave?" or "Why can't I be your equal, given that we trust each other and need each other in battle?" Let's say he answers honestly and admits that he only bought her as a literal punching bag, that beating her up was a way for him to feel like getting back at Malty. Or maybe he wants to keep her as a slave because he's afraid of seeing her walk away from his life if he freed her. Or he can say just, "I honestly didn't think too much about this until you asked me." These would be shocking and even disgusting admissions. Absolutely. But at least the answers are clarifying, we will know what he thinks he's doing, and it can give Naofumi the chance to tear up, break down, and realize what a monster he's become, and make a genuine effort to not just free Raphtalia, but treat her as his equal. Yeah, the shield hero's motivations just don't add up from any vantage point, but by letting him continue using them as slaves, it's like the creators want to justify that as long as you have good intentions, then it's okay, especially if the imprisoned are okay by it. And there's really no reason to do that when both Raphtalia and Filo have shown enough devotion that having slave status is completely unnecessary. It's only there because everyone else is rotten, so might as well play by their rules. Now on the subject of these two, there's obviously an underdog quality to them as slaves who are trying to make the best of their lot in an unjust world, but when their romance subplots start coming up, the wheels can start to fall off. I don't deny the possible existence of true love between master and slave, even if said love cannot justify slavery by a long shot, but the writing fails in 2 ways. It risks making Raphtalia and Filo mere accessories to the main character, instead of showing them as individuals who have their own objectives and ways of seeing the world, but more importantly, I just think the subplot is kicking in a little too soon. It's not just the implied age difference that could cause a bit of squick, but even if Raphtalia and Filo are adults, there's just too little time between Naofumi's introduction to those two and them openly competing with one another for his affections. And that sort of moment is better off saved for the anime's halfway mark, when we get to see build-up of them becoming good friends and companions before any talk of romance. The other characters past the core trio haven't really improved all that much. While Ren showed better tact than Motoyasu, he still bungled his primary duty as a hero who can help other people. Motoyasu is straight up unlikable with no redeeming features, and Itsuki still remains a mystery. We also have that royal conspiracy against the shield hero just floating around, and it's going to take a lot to really explain why it even exists. The only saving grace with this group comes from the queen and her retainers. So far she seems to be a reasonable authority figure who could be more helpful down the line, but only time will tell if she can keep it up. So with that lengthy analysis wrapped up, come back next month when we get to see more of our shield hero. Until then, I'm the Media Hunter. Media's my prey, and reviewing them my way.
その手を握ってもう離さない決してどんな未来も君とな